All right. So I'm here this morning very early with Krishna Mohan. He is an entrepreneur, a business coach. He is a speaker. He is a number one best-selling author, and he's been on Fox TV and multiple media outlets. Krishna is the president of Genius Visionary. He is the managing partner of Capital Street Investments, LLP, and the president of Gifting Boutique. Krishna, over the last 23 years, has helped 3 Fortune 500 companies and several startup organizations focusing on sales, business development, and finance. His management style has been described as decisive and motivational, where success comes from a focused commitment to developing new business, cultivating relationships, training salespeople, and creating growth strategies. He is involved in several acquisitions and mergers. Finally, Krishna has a master's degree in marketing management, MMM, and an MBA-International business and an MS in finance. So, Krishna, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You've got a lot of interesting.
Yeah, thank you, Luke. Yeah, that's an interesting background. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Right. So, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, look, I've been doing sales, business development for a lot of large organizations, helping them on growth, helping them on building teams, and a lot of new initiatives like market expansion and a few other strategic objectives. And I did that for a very, very long time. And then I also helped a lot of smaller organizations really, starting to just build their companies and then expand and they just fit into this market system. And during that time I realized that these companies, whether they do well or whether they don't do well, they still have a lot of challenges and through various phases. And then I had all these observations and learnings along the way. And then at some point I realized that maybe we should start something to solve some of these problems, because I think that I have the right skills and right capabilities to to solve those problems. And that's how I started into my own entrepreneurial journey and started Genius Visionary, and then have our offerings to solve these problems for larger organizations. And for smaller organizations, we have specific solutions for specific challenges that they have. And that's how we positioned ourselves. And it's pretty interesting and very, very rewarding. With the type of work that we do here. Yeah. Yeah, that's.
You've done quite a bit of television appearances as well. How does one get?
Well, look, it's not intentional. It's just that you keep doing what you do. Be aware of the branding part when it comes to your company or the business that you're building. Be aware of your positioning strategy. Be aware of your messaging strategy. Be aware of your own content that you produce, and be aware of your own personal branding, if I have to say that, and then continue doing good work. I think then that would lead to some of such opportunities. I think that's what helped me that way. I would say, these are very important things, very critical things that I just mentioned. Not easy ones, because it's organic, takes time, takes conscious effort, and really need to pay attention, and it requires a lot of testing and trying and implementing, and that would eventually lead to attracting such opportunities. I would say it's a better way to put it.
Yeah, that makes sense. You did a part, we can see it on
Mhm.
YouTube, regarding the three mistakes that
Mm.
solopreneurs tend to make when they start a business. I'm a solopreneur. Uh, I have made some people I work with, but I'm basically a solopreneur. So tell us about the three
Mhm.
mistakes that solopreneurs tend to make.
Yeah, that's a good one. These are again some of my own opinions and observations. I think the number one thing I think what I would consider is um, building business credit. First of all, when you start a business, you're so focused on your service, your product, your customers. How do I get into market? How do I make more sales? How do I increase my revenues? But one need to also focus, how do I set my financial foundation for my company? How do I have a proper structure? How do I have this business credit, which can be built based on your EIN instead of using your personal FICO and collateral? If you, again, it's a conscious effort. It requires patience. It takes about 6 to 8 months to build that. So you got to invest that time anyways. Why not do that at the beginning itself? Um, you could do that while you focus on building
Mhm.
your front end sales system and sales and marketing. So I think that's the number one mistake because I don't see that quite often. And then what happens is, even if you end up bringing good revenues, even if you are successful in launching a product, you will get to a point where you are out of money. It's just going to happen. That's the case. That's
Mhm.
the case when you
Yeah.
succeed.
You'll need-
If you fail, you need the money
Yeah.
anyways. So either which way you need that. And now, the logical step typically anybody would take is they dip into their own personal finances, they dip into their friends' family, then they dip into their own personal, FICO, and then put that in the line and,
Mhm.
get some, traditional, line of credits and all sorts of things and invest in the business. And then as you move forward, you still have the risk of, failure. So that means your money get locked, or sometimes you might even lose. Then at the time it ties back to you, and then that is putting you at risk. It goes back to everything else, your home, car, and everything else. So I think, so that's why I think that's the number one thing that I highly encourage any small business owner to focus on. This is the way the bigger companies, the bigger large corporates operate. So this is something that I think is important. Number two is, I think, trying to do everything by yourself. Again, it goes back to how you define yourself. Again, that requires, some skills. You need to know how to hire people, how to train them, know how to delegate. You need to develop some of those things as a part of your entrepreneurial journey. And it's inevitable. You will get to that point. It's just a matter of time, where you only have so much time. You only can do so many things. You only can bring so many things to the table. Your job is to be resourceful. Your job is to bring the infrastructure, teams, and make things happen. But the actual work needs to be done by the specialist, whoever is the specialist, or you make him a specialist to do the job. Whether it's an accountant, or whether it's a sales guy, or whether it is some other operations guy. So that is the second thing, is you need to get to that point as fast as possible. Yes, you will do all by yourself. It takes a while to get there, but if you're intentional about it, you will slowly get to that point. So that's when you can actually scale. Otherwise, I see a lot of small business owners, they just start and struggle to just get to that 100K or 200K, and it takes several years to even get there sometimes. And then they get to a point where they're completely involved in the business, where they don't have time for thinking, they don't have time for planning, they don't have time for doing anything else that I'm talking about. They don't have time. So the more work you take, the more you are into it. So that's the second one, I guess. And the third one is the knowledge itself in terms of other functions. Like in the sense, you need to have some knowledge about accounting, some knowledge about finance, some knowledge about taxation, a little bit knowledge about everything, I guess, as a business owner. Again, we won't have all the knowledge and to run it, but again, you got to be intentional about it. You have to pay attention to these things. If you don't know something, you need to update yourself. It's important. You need to know about IT. You cannot say that I don't understand this. You need to understand about marketing, right? You need to know how those two things integrate. You may not be an expert. Again, you just need to know, as much as you're supposed to know to even talk to experts. To even hire a marketing guy. You want to hire a marketing guy. I mean, if you don't even understand what the guy does, how will you
That's right.
get the best deal from the guy? And how will you set an expectation with the guy? It's the same
That's
thing.
right.
Again, I'm talking about accounting. If you don't have the basic knowledge about some terminology, or how these things work in terms of your income statements, balance sheets, and cash flow statements, how would you even ask something to your CPA?
Mhm.
He's willing to help you, but you're not asking the right questions. You're not
Right.
telling what you want. So I think these are very
Yep.
broad areas that I'm
That's right.
touching upon, but I think they're very important. Um, Again, it's a process. It's an ongoing process. Yeah, I think. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about
Hmm.
business credit. So, how do you
Yeah.
actually go about uh,
Right.
systematically building
There's
your
several steps
credits?
involved. The first step is to compliance. Setting up things in order in the right way with Secretary of State, IRS, and your bank, and having some basic things in place. Set your business like an actual business, not like a hobby. Number one. Number two, then there are several steps involved. Once you do that, then the next step is you get to the vendor accounts. You got to have a specific number of accounts um, through credit. Like your Home Depot, Walmart, Dell, Office Depot, and things like that. And then you start using them, and then paying them on time. So you create that kind of record that would be reported to DNB, and then something called paydex score. That's what it is. It attributes to, and then you go to unsecured debt, and then go to larger funding and financing options. So there are several phases. We have a book. I've written a book. If somebody is interested, it's called Insider Secrets to Build Business Credit and Financing. It's available online. If somebody want, they can purchase that book. If they want to get a basic idea, I can send ebook that I have that I offer to anybody that might be interested. It's like a guide, to give them the whole details about it. I can give them that. So there are many steps involved. You cannot skip any steps, because when it comes to the underwriting, the bankers are pretty strict about it. And so that's why I said it takes 6 to 8 months. And we put together a comprehensive program for anybody who want to go through this. Um, so yeah, so it's just such a long process, but those are the three phases: your compliance, your vendor accounts, your unsecured debt, and then you get unlimited financing. Those are the phases and there are several steps in between that you need to follow without skipping any steps, and that's why it requires little effort to get to that end goal where you're really separating yourself, where you're really able to raise the capital through the year. It's not going to happen just because you have a business. Yeah, you can do that for startups. That's a good news. You can do that as a brand new business. You can do that
Right.
as an established business. So that's out there. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And to be clear, we're talking about having
Mm-hmm.
credit for the
Mm-hmm.
business itself, apart from having to rely on your equity in
Yes.
your home,
Yes.
your friends, your
Yeah.
family, things like that. One, your
You're
business.
absolutely right. So we are not relying on, your home equity. We are not relying on your money from your friends and family. We are not relying on your own personal credit. You have your own personal FICO scores, and then let's assume they're not good. Um, but that's okay because you're not talking to establish anything from what you have. You're establishing credit for an entity. Um, you are not the entity. You own the entity. So that's how so that's how
Right.
you separate yourself. You need
Yeah.
to, again, as I say, you need to have a proper entity. You cannot do that like a sole proprietor or something like that. You got to have an entity, and then you own the entity, or you operate the entity, and the entity is having credit. It's not about you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. You have an interesting segment with
Mm.
Jennifer Spohr about taking control of your life, the
Mhm.
gratitude mindset. Tell us how you take control of your life with the gratitude mindset.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, I think everything boils down to your thoughts. The thoughts you think, and again, it goes back to the mental state you operate with, right? So if you are, again, like I say, intentional. I've been using the word again and again. If you are intentional about anything, then then what happens is you direct your thoughts towards that intention. Um, so then you also need to have goals. In other words, you need to have some real goals in anything you do. Those goals need to be really specific. You got to have very clearly defined specific goals on anything you're trying to do in your life or your business. Whether it's I want to have my company, uh, reach this $5 million goal. At the time, I will have 25 employees. This is how my office looks like. These are the type of employees working for me. This is where my office is located. These are the type of customers that we are serving. And then my customers are happy about the service that we offer. And then, we have such and such reputation in this such and such industry. Something like that, something that specific that you need to have as your goal. It cannot be that I want to make money. I want to make money. This year I made 500K. Next year I become a millionaire, right? That doesn't work that way. It's such a shallow pursuit. You need to have much more than that. That gets to these details, and then the reason. Then what happens is then you constantly then you lock it down, and that is it. Until I achieve that purpose, I'm not going to look into anything else. That's your business. Then you may have your personal goal, then you may have your other personal financial goals, then you have your relationship goals, your fitness goals, your spiritual goals. Likewise, you have these things in place. You should one need to have that level of specificity with some time frames, and then clear, quantifiable or measurable results expectations, and then just focus on them from your thoughts, and then visualize those things on a consistent basis while you do while you go with your regular life, and slowly you start reaching to those small milestones one step at a time. You will eventually be surprised to see how those future employees will pop up in your life, how those future customers will pop up in your life, how that future office building pop up in your life. um, and then slowly it's your job to recognize those cues, and then act upon such things in real life, and then that's how you achieve it, and you think you did it, but that's how the whole process works. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, very much so. And I'd like to explore that further. And so I'm going to include a link to that within the show notes so people can dig into that because that's a fascinating topic. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you've written 3 books. Um, Real Estate Elite Real Estate Professionals, Leaders
Mm-hmm.
in the Real Estate Industry. And you say it was number
Mm-hmm.
1 bestseller on Amazon. So I'm in real estate. I'd like to know a little bit about your book and also how do you become a number 1 bestseller on Amazon? So tell us a
Well,
little
the
bit about
book is,
that book.
since you are a real estate investor, as you know, um, we see a lot of investors, get into real estate with an expectation that there's a lot of money to be made, and everyone can become a millionaire, or a lot of millionaires are coming up with real estate background, and then that's true, and there are so many avenues and creative ways that one can do real estate and make money. But what I also observed is that many of these investors, not the seasoned investors, but the upcoming investors, they are kind of all over the place. I want to get into rehab, or I want to get into multifamily. Storage facilities an opportunity, office buildings is an opportunity, retail strip. So everything is an opportunity. So you know people get carried away with everything and really end up not making money. So that's what I saw, just my observation, because
Mhm.
everything looks so great. By the time you get in, you complete this transaction, you see something else is much better than this one. Then you learn about creative financing. Then you find out some, lease options. Then something else comes up. Then something else. So what I realized is that one need to just step back and pick one area, just one area, and then gain mastery in that area. You become specialist in one thing, whatever is that one thing.
Mhm.
You want to be specialist in single family rehab, so just be specialist in that, and that's your lane. Because there are so many things that people are not telling others. So many things involved, dealing with contractors, getting the deal, where do you get the deal, all the pieces to the puzzle. And so I think that's where I came up with some of such observations and put those things in a way that every regular person or any regular person can understand these things, so they can save a lot of time, and then just pick up one area that resonates with them, or their
Mhm.
background, or their personality, and then they really realize what it takes to really make deals happen. The depth, the knowledge, or the resources, the network, the connections that you need to make these things happen. So I just try to kind of pull the curtain, and then help them. I think that's the concept there. Yeah.
Can you excuse me, can you tell us about how you get a book to
Well, I
number
think
1 on Amazon?
well,
Is it just luck or
no, I wouldn't say that.
were you
It's again, Amazon has a different metric, like how they pick their best-selling book. I guess it's by the category. Each book is considered to a specific category. Within the category, I think it's a weekly or a daily measurement in terms of the number of sales that happen on that specific category. Let's say within business, there could be different topics like leadership, sales, marketing, or finance and things like that. And then could be subsect like real estate could be one of the subsect within that segments. And then they pick the one that's sold within the time frame, something like that.
Right.
Yes, something like that.
Makes
And
sense. Yeah.
I wouldn't say 100% network. I mean, I wouldn't say 100% luck. Luck plays a role in anything, anyways. But also, um, your connections, right? Like when you are connected to a lot of folks, people pay attention to you, and it helps in many ways.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right. So you've got a website now. Are most of your courses and training online now with the COVID situation, or are you able to meet people in person still?
Well, we're not trying to meet people. We are trying to do those meetings over Zoom wherever it is necessary. Whether it is training, coaching, or any other business related meetings, we are doing it over Zoom. As far as the business coaching is concerned, right now it's over Zoom, and we have Genius Online Academy, which is pretty much online and remote through email, video trainings, and a Zoom kind of interactions. So it works very well. They don't miss anything. We don't miss anything. The value is still there. Everything happens just the way it is supposed to happen, including our prospecting efforts with the new clients. Is still working fine in the remote environment.
Right. And you've got some nice giveaways on your website. Can you tell us about those?
If any one of your audience are interested further to enhance their own knowledge, we have a book which is How I Find 10K for Any Business Within 45 Minutes. I listed 7 strategies uh, that can show the possibility for their own business. It's available on geniusbusinesscoach.com. Anybody who is interested, they can go there and sign up, and they will get the book. And then we are also offering 3-part business education from Genius Online Academy. It's a video series. Again, a lot of insights on the marketing and lead generation. If anybody is interested, they can go there and get that a series by putting your information out there. And then if anybody is really, as I mentioned earlier, interested to know more about business credit, I have a ebook that I can send their way. They can always write it to me, to my email, which is krishna@geniusbusinesscoach.com. That is krishna@geniusbusinesscoach.com. I'll be happy to share that. And if anybody is seeing a decline in their revenues, let's say from 2019 to 2020, we're almost 20, and the first quarter of 2021, and really struggling and not seeing any progress in anything that you're trying to do. I can offer a 45 minutes complimentary session, one-on-one session, and help them, guide them, to help them to just get out of the situation. I'll be happy to do that, as I don't charge for that.
That's great. So Krishna Mohan, he specializes in scaling 6 to 8 figure businesses, so small businesses, by doubling revenues within 18 months. So if you're running a small business, I'm sure you want to talk to Krishna. We're going to put all the links to the stuff that we talked about within the show notes, so you can find him easily. And fascinating guy. I wish we had more time. So many things to talk about, but his website is great. He's got a ton of resources there for small business, and I highly recommend you check out Krishna Mohan. So thank you very much for your time this morning and for coming on so early. I guess it's not as early for you, but
thank you, Luke. Thank you for the opportunity.
Luke Menkes is a realtor. He loves what he does. We asked Luke if he had any regrets about moving here in 2011, and he always says, yeah, one regret, and that is he didn't move here sooner. When Luke came here, he didn't know anyone. He didn't know the neighborhoods or anything or anyone besides his daughter, who was 6 years old at the time. So he knows what it's like. Now, he's an expert and has helped well over 100 single people, couples, families, and investors with their real estate needs in the Okanagan. If you're new to our beautiful city, Luke can help you get connected with great lawyers, dentists, carpenters, landscapers, swimming pool installers, you name it. And whether you're new to Kelowna or not, Luke knows real estate. He can help you find a great property, negotiate a good deal, and hold your hand all the way through the process until the day you get your shiny new set of keys. Luke is known as a no-pressure kind of guy. He's had clients where it took even a year or more to get them into a property. He just doesn't believe in rushing things. On the other hand, when you decide it's time to act, he's diligent and he'll work day and night until the job is done. Give Luke Menkes a call or a text message at any time, 778-215-4273. Again, that's 778-215-4273. 778-215-4273 to chat with Luke about real estate.